Why should you do yet another exercise to get ready for the spelling bee? I think it's been since 2012 that Scripps has required vocabulary questions to be part of the spelling bee competition. While most vocabulary questions are pretty easy, every year students are eliminated from the competition in the vocabulary round. There are at least 3 reasons why this happens. 1. The students never gave much attention to looking up the definitions and they don't know the meaning of the word they are given. 2. Some questions are harder than most. It's the job of the editors to write the questions to eliminate spellers, and some writers do a better job than others. The vocabulary question is tricky. 3. The students study the correct definitions, but they have no experience deciding between multiple choices until they are on stage in a pressure situation. I have a real-life example to share with you that stays in my memory. The speller was well prepared to compete for the trip to Washington, D.C. in the National Spelling Bee. She was experienced, and her spelling was close to perfection. On stage, the first vocabulary round was going smoothly. All the correct answers were obvious. They were easy. When it was her turn, the vocabulary word was discipline. That's pretty easy. Every child knows what it means to be disciplined. Discipline, a verb, is something people do to misbehaving children in order to correct their bad behavior. In her studies, she probably saw the word and figured she knew it and did not need to waste valuable time learning more about it. She was going to move on to more difficult words. She may not have known that there are 2 other meanings of the word discipline. People train themselves to have discipline, a noun. Discipline is your ability to stay on task and not give in to the temptation of doing something else more interesting at the moment. You keep yourself focused. Discipline, again a noun, can also mean something you study. Young students get a general education. They study all subjects. College students and postgraduate students eventually narrow their education to a particular subject. They may decide, for example, to study law. That means they concentrate on a particular discipline. Younger students may not know that because it's not part of their lives. They'd have to learn about that definition by reading about it or by looking it up in a dictionary. So that night in the spelling bee, the question was, what is a discipline? A correction. B, a field of study. The speller instantly knew that discipline corrects bad behavior, so her answer was A. And just like that, her chances of being a top contender for the trip to Washington, D.C. were over. I've watched other spellers being eliminated in a similar manner. Sometimes they look confused. Sometimes they look like they're in a panic because they're not sure what the right answer is. Fortunately, my speller was a good kid and understood that elimination is all part of the spelling bee experience. And I understood something must be done to help coaches do a better job of preparing students for vocabulary rounds. The first part, studying all the definitions, is still up to you. After that, exercises like these can be of benefit. These vocabulary quizzes were developed to better prepare spellers for vocabulary rounds in 2 ways. First, they will give you the experience of answering multiple choice vocabulary questions before you have to do it live on stage. Your first experience should not be at the spelling bee when it counts. Second, they give you the experience of thinking through the questions and answers that may have been designed to trick you. It's impossible for you to trick yourself, so somebody has to write these tricks for you. Hopefully these questions will teach you how to think through the problem at a time when there is no pressure. Here's how to proceed. Click on the link for the quiz you want to take and it will open a Google form. Fill out the information on the form. Read the questions and answer choices and choose what you think is the correct answer. Don't cheat yourself by looking up the definitions after you read the question. Give yourself an honest experience. Once you've finished, click Submit. Google Forms will send your responses to an app called Flubaroo. Flubaroo will check your answers and in less than a minute email a form to the address you provided with the scores and the answer key to all the questions. If you are using an email address provided by the school district, keep in mind that schools sometimes send email to a spam folder if it doesn't recognize the sender. If you don't get a quick response from Flubaroo, check your spam folder if you know how. Otherwise, talk to your school's tech department so they can give permission to accept mail from Flubaroo. If you get 100%, you succeeded over my attempts to trick you into the wrong answer. You can move on to the next question. If you did not get 100%, do some metacognition. Metacognition means that you think about your thinking. How did you decide on an answer? If you pick the wrong answer, how did you get tricked? Take the quiz again, but not immediately. Wait a few days to sleep on it before you try again. My hope is that these exercises will be helpful and that you will not be eliminated from the B in the vocabulary questions, and that you can march jauntily up to the microphone with full confidence. Best wishes.